We, we are in the San Antonio River. Right now we're at the bottom of the man-made portion. We built this part of the Riverwalk in the 1960s. We're going to go into the natural part of the river here in just a couple minutes, but first we're going to go through the most dangerous part of the Riverwalk. You ready? We're going into the mall. Now the music that you hear, this is from a band called Andean Fusion. These folks are from Peru. They play hand-carved instruments. They play here in this lagoon every day.
Every day.
Started about noon, so this is their music. When I first got to work here, I kind of liked this music, but after 6 years of doing this, I'm tired of all 4 of their songs. But they do a good job. They have a really nice Christmas CD for sale back there. They do a good job with that. Now folks, this river in the city of San Antonio was all named in honor of St. Anthony de Padua. This is how we ended up with our name. The very first Catholic Mass on this river was on June 13th, 1691. That just happened to be the feast day of St. Anthony. St. Anthony in the Spanish language means San Antonio. So this is how we ended up with our name. Everybody knows here in San Antonio we have a lot of Spanish influence, but folks don't realize we have a lot of German influence as well. A lot of things that we take for granted around here come from Germany. Do you know that tortillas were always made out of corn before the Germans come along with flour? Now flour tortillas is kind of a staple for us. Tejano music and polka music sound about the same because of the accordion. Now San Antonio has always been a very big military town. So when World War I come along, a lot of the Germans packed up and left San Antonio, and they started communities like Barney, New Braunfels, Fredericksburg, and all these little places outside of town. Folks didn't really much care for the Germans in World War I. Of course, it didn't get much better in World War II. That statue is St. Anthony de Padua. Side above the wall through the trees up here, you see the church steeple. This church steeple up here, this is St. Joseph's German Catholic Church. That was the first church built after the fall of the Alamo. They built there in 1868. On the fourth Sunday of every month, they still have a choir that sings in the German language here. When Joskies wanted to build their department store right there, they wanted to tear that church down. You can see who won that argument, right? They built that thing right around the church. See, here in San Antonio, we have some ladies here called the Conservation Society. It's now against the law to tear down any old building or structure without checking with the Conservation Society first. We're going to talk a lot about that later. They didn't put up with any crap in the 20s when they built all this. They don't put up with any today. The very first restaurant here in the Riverwalk was Casa Rio Restaurant, straight in front of us with the nice colored umbrellas. That opened here in 1946. This is the oldest Mexican restaurant on the river. It's owned by a German family. Always has been. Now we're going to leave the man-made parts of the river. We're going to go out into the natural flow of this river. This out here has a regular mud bottom to it. This makes a natural horseshoe shape to the center of San Antonio. We're going into the bottom of the horseshoe right now. city guys were hanging up our Christmas lights. It takes these guys 3 months to hang up all the Christmas lights. Now folks, the Riverwalk had been here since the early 20s, but what really put this thing on the map was the World's Fair in 1968. We ended up with 7 million people for the World's Fair. Now we kind of had to come up some hotel rooms in a big hurry, so we did a lot of renovating, a lot of building things quick, getting ready for all these people. The building right here in front of us, the Hilton, was built in 202 working days. How they did that so fast is they built the first 4 floors right here. All these rooms were built in an assembly line 8 miles south of town. The rooms were completely built, carpeted, wallpapered, fully furnished, drug over here on flatbed trucks, and with a crane, they were all stacked up here just like Lego. This entire building right there took almost 8 months to complete. How this come about is the city wasn't going to allow the Hiltons to build here. They didn't want construction going on right in the middle of the World's Fair. Hilton's had a little bit of a problem though. They'd rented out of all 500 rooms for the World's Fair, hadn't built the building yet. Minor detail. They hired H.B. Zachary, told him you got 205 days before the World's Fair, get the thing built. He finished this thing 36 hours before the official opening. It's getting pretty close. Now I asked you guys where you guys are all from when I got on the boat there, but I'm originally from upstate New York, if you're trying to figure out my accent. When I retired from the Air Force, I decided to stay here. Around here, we don't have to shovel sunshine. But you know, in Texas, everybody's braggers. Everything's bigger in Texas. You all heard it's right. You know what the big green thing is above the wall over here? Nope, that's our storage container for all the margaritas. We're going to go through the Arneson River Theater up here. There's a room on the left-hand side for 800 people, stage on the right. Did y'all see the movie Miss Congeniality with Sandra Bullock? Mm-hmm. The swimsuit part of that was filmed right here in the stage right here. This was built in 1939. Then if y'all notice the bells here on top of the stage over here, these bells right here, they commemorate the first 5 Taco Bell restaurants. Actually, they commemorate the 5 missions here in San Antonio. Now folks, in the 20s, the city wanted to take this river and cover the entire thing in concrete. They got tired of messing with the floods. They just said, "Fool, you know, we'll build over this whole thing." A couple ladies from the Conservation Society were able to convince city leaders that having a riverwalk going to this is a good thing. A couple years later, Robert Hugman came along, an architect, and designed this riverwalk. He took what the ladies had saved and did something with it. Now, the majority of this was all built between 1939 and 1941 by the WPA. Would you believe this entire riverwalk cost $430,000 to build this whole thing? Can you imagine what this would cost today? Now, because of the Conservation Society, we don't tear anything down. This bridge right here in front of us was built here in 1890. There's only 10 of these bridges left in the United States, but we have 5 of them right here in the Riverwalk. These things weren't really designed to hold automobiles. We use them every day. They put a brand new coat of paint on this last year. I wish they'd have picked another color. You can't see this thing at midnight. This bridge gives those headaches. Over here on the right-hand side, folks, we have a little island right here. This island is what we call a marriage island. We average 2 to 3 marriages a day on this little island. This is a very popular place for folks getting married. This island is naturally shaped like a heart. Our boat captain's been married there 2 or 3 times. Now this island, folks, is the root system to one bald cypress tree. This root system grows sideways and shallow to keep this tree from drowning. These are bald cypress trees. You find these in any river in South Texas. These things are 200 and 300 years old. We're very much in the renovation thing here in San Antonio. We're renovating the old Bexar County Courthouse right there in front of us, the dome building there. Built there originally in 1896. We still use it as a courthouse. Now if y'all look high and to the left, you look way up on top of the Tower Light building up here, you see gargoyles hanging on the top of the building up here. The gargoyles are actually used as functional water spouts. When it rains real hard, the rainwater comes out of their mouths. It's part of the neo-Gothic architecture. On the same building, if you look right above the curved windows up there, you see faces. The faces are called grotesques. They're supposed to scare off evil spirits. You see this architecture all the time in New York City and Chicago, but not so much around here. Building here on the right-hand side was a pharmaceutical warehouse in 1919. In the mid-80s, they turned this into the Homewood Suites Hotel. We don't tear down any old buildings around here. We just turn them all into hotels. Now, when we get past the bridge, folks, you look over my shoulder, back of the building we just passed, you can see the front of the building behind us looks like the front of a big ship coming down the river. You're going to have to use your imagination a little bit. That's what they built that behind us look like. Kind of neat, huh? Now, my friends, in 1921, we had a devastating flood here in San Antonio. The water level at that time got 8 feet above street level. So this is what prompted our city to come put in a flood control system. We're getting ready to go over one of our floodgates. The gate lays at the bottom of the water. This opens up like a drawbridge. This closes this end of the riverwalk in the event of a flood. See the scratches on either side there? It's kind of like a tailgate pickup truck. Now this right here is our flood channel. This is 20 foot deep right here. This has a concrete bottom to it. Now directly behind us at 200 yards by the second bridge and a green light back there, that's another floodgate that stays all the way up. So in the event of a flood, what we do is we close both of the gates going to the Riverwalk. We just lower this behind us however much we have to, and the floodwaters bypass the Riverwalk and go downstream. If it gets really bad, we have the ability 4 miles up to divert the entire river underground to bypass the whole city if we have to. We averaged 30 inches of rain a year here in San Antonio. In 1998, we had 22 inches of rain in 18 hours. This flood control system worked perfect. We only had a 20% chance of rain that day. We got a 40% chance today, so we're in trouble. Just finished a real nice renovation on the old Alamo Bank building here on the right-hand side. The Drury folks, they turned it into a real nice hotel. The Drury folks also donated the sidewalk back here. The sidewalk now makes the Riverwalk a complete circle. You don't have to go to street level across 3 busy streets. The original 4.5 miles of the Riverwalk cost $430,000 to build. This 800-foot sidewalk cost them $1.2 million.
Wow.
Clouds in front of us are looking kind of on us. Yeah, around here nowadays, we can get 10 inches of rain in an hour around here, so happens all the time. The city of San Antonio first started for this little plaza here on the left-hand side. If you follow the sidewalk to the top up there, you see San Fernando Cathedral. San Fernando was established in 1731. So this is really where everything first started. This up here is the third of our floodgates, so nowadays when we have any kind of a flood problem, we just close the rip walk completely off. This keeps all the restaurants and hotels from flooding. This gate raised 3 times. People all over the country are trying to copy this, folks, and this is really the key. You have to be able to do something with all the floodwaters. All those restaurants are right here at river level. Wouldn't take much of a storm to fill these things full of water. Over here on the left-hand side is another jury, and this, in 1921, this building was a city public service building. To give you an idea how bad this flood got, if you look right above the second row windows to the ledge in the middle of that building, that's how high the water got. Now, we ended up losing a third of San Antonio during this big flood, so this is why the city, when they take this covered up, build over it. Those ladies never gave up on this. We still have it. Theater here on the right-hand side opened in 1926. Originally has a silent movie theater. We just finished renovating this and opened this back up last year. The original Wurlitzer pipe organ is still in that theater. Of course, we have a lot of military history here in San Antonio. The bottom floor of the Watermark Hotel was a saddle company called the L. Frank Saddle Company. They built saddles for Teddy Roosevelt and Rough Riders and Pancho Villa. Kind of both sides of the fence, but they're famous. Now, my favorite renovation project for the World's Fair is this building here on the left-hand side. This is called the Mansión del Rio Hotel. This was built here in 1853. This is originally St. Mary's University Law School. 1966, 2 law students bought this building and renovated it for the World's Fair. Conservation Society knew what they were doing when they saved this stuff. Each room in this hotel has its own French doors. The building was built before they invented air conditioning. Of course, it has air conditioning now, but all the doors still work. In our marina, folks, we have a picture of President Dwight D. Eisenhower standing on these stairs here on the left-hand side with his then-girlfriend, Mamie, in 1916. Dwight D. Eisenhower was a baseball coach here at the university. Very young man. You pass the bridge here on the left-hand side, you'll see the Nix Hospital. The Nix was built here in 1930. The building is an optical illusion. It looks like a flat wall. There you go, yeah. You know, as far as we know, it's the only hospital with a recovery room on the bottom floor called Nix West Resort. It's still the Nix Hospital today. Carol Burnett was born in this hospital. You know, it takes a lot of guts for a conservation society to go up against big corporations, but ours did all the time. The building here in front of us is the Hyatt Regency Hotel. You'll notice that the Hyatt's quite a bit wider than it is tall. The reason for that is the Alamo is just on the other side of that building. They originally wanted to build this 30 stories tall. Conservation Society said no. It would cast a shadow on the Alamo at sunset. So out of respect, this is wide and deep, not very tall. Don't do them ladies are tough. Right now we're at the bottom of this natural horseshoe shape. This is the majority of all the restaurants right here. Mr. Hugman, the architect who designed this, he wanted this entire thing to be kind of a cross between Venice and New Orleans. Later on in the evening, we'll have dinner boats out of most of these restaurants. If you're interested in one of the dinner boats, there's a web page on your ticket. You can actually get breakfast, lunch, or dinner on these boats. Sometimes the hardest part about this job is driving down here 10 times a day when you're hungry. Yes. Hell's good around here all the time. And you know these people will feed the ducks, but they won't feed us. Someday I'm going to jump in the river and say Aflac a lot and see if we get lunch. You know, this is how the boat thing got started. Conservation restaurant right here on the right-hand side, the first restaurant. They were so busy in the 40s, they ended up putting people on the old gondola boats to keep them occupied while they were waiting in line for their tables. Now we progressed to the point in the summertime, we put 10,000 people a day on these boats. So this little restaurant right here is our humble beginning. Just around the corner. Just right below the, just on the other side of the Hyatt Regency Hotel. This entire Riverboat, my friends, is actually a city park. One of the things that I hope you all notice about this is how clean the whole thing is for the most part. You don't see any graffiti or anything anywhere. Everybody that works is very passionate about this, but they get shows. Even the Chamber of Commerce put their own offices right here in the Riverboat. I'll tell you another story about the Conservation Society. Guys, the Marriott Hotel right here in front of us was built there in the mid-80s. Before they could build that big Marriott, they had to do something with the Fairmont Hotel. The Fairmont was built there in 1905. Conservation ladies weren't going to let anybody tear that down. So here's what they did. They picked the Fairmont Hotel up. They put the entire 3-story, 1,600-ton building on axles, aircraft towers, rolled the whole thing right over here next to the Hilton, set it back down and remodeled it. This allowed them to build the brand new Marriott right there. Told you them ladies are tough. All the waterfalls you see throughout the whole Riverwalk, guys, are just recirculated river water. Keeps everything aerated for the wildlife. This is a natural river, so we have fish, frogs, turtles, snakes, everything you can find right for the river. This time of year, boat drivers see snakes every day. We learned a long time ago not to talk about it. CCX logo. Right hand side above the wall or above the bridge there, you see the Tower of Americas. This tower up there is a centerpiece for the 68 World's Fair. Observation deck up there, and there's a restaurant that revolves. That's actually the second tallest freestanding tower in the United States. You know what the first one is?
Stratosphere, Las Vegas.
Stratosphere in Las Vegas, right? I got a roller coaster on top of that one. This is boat driver's favorite spot right here. Nice breeze. Comes in pretty handy when it's 104. Left-hand side, if you look right above the Cockle Theater, you up here, you see the mosaic. This mosaic was a gift to us from Mexico for the 68 World's Fair. This is 400,000 1-inch square colored stones. Everything is depicted in this mosaic, from Adam and Eve all the way to the space program. It took one man 2 years to build this. He did it pretty much by himself. You know, we run these boats year-round. The only time we ever shut this down is the first week in January. The first week we drain all the water of this river completely. We do maintenance and repairs. During that time we have a big party. We call it a mud fest. We actually have a mud king, a mud queen, and a mud parade. Don't need much of an excuse around here. As you might imagine, when they drain this, we find a lot of stuff in here. Any guesses what the number one thing's been the last 3 years?
Cameras.
Cell phones almost beat out number one twice. Yeah, but believe it or not, silverware from the restaurants is still number one. I'm going to thread this boat through a set of rails up here. We might bump a little bit. This thing's been closed for a couple of years. We've got to get used to doing this again. Haven't even trimmed back the poison ivy yet. Not bad for an Air Force boat captain. It's kind of fitting that they find a bunch of stuff in the river when they drain all this, because St. Anthony, our namesake, is the patron saint of lost things. You would think that having no railings on the Riverwalk anywhere, we have a lot of problem with people falling in. We really don't have much of a problem. We only average 1 or 2 people a month. Now, spring break and New Year's Eve, that's another story. Yeah, New Year's Eve it gets so bad down here. We get the boats off the river at 8 o'clock. We don't even mess with it anymore. It's crazy around here. Tech City from CCS. If y'all look here on the left-hand side at the bottom of these trees, you see little nubs growing out of the ground over here. These are called cypress knees. This is the root system to that tree. The tree pokes its roots out of the ground to keep itself from drowning. You gonna find those things? throughout the whole Riverboat Peninsula there. Well, my friends, this is about it. Y'all have a good time?
Yes.
It's a great time to do this, I promise. What do you think of our little piece of paradise? I want to remind y'all, look around you to make sure you have everything. Let me get this tied down up here for y'all. Stand up. You folks enjoy your stay here in San Antonio. Thank y'all very kindly. For a job well done, you drivers, we always appreciate your tips. I've been able to get everybody back dry today. I couldn't say that much yesterday.